I'm Trek with 2Ks. I messed that up. Buenos noches, buenos tardes, hola, hola, GnGs. My name is Trekkw2ks, and I messed that up on the end of I didn't click the unmute button because I was over here looking at Crispy's comment about the cigar stuff. So really you'd have to actually been around me in real life to know that yeah, I do, burn a stick here and there. But I do not consider myself to be a avid or professional cigar smoker on the end of I could go like 2 months, 3 months and not touch a cigar, and then I could have it where I might do 2 in a week. 3 in a week is really a lot for me. It depends on like what's going on. But nonetheless, this is Trekkw2ksLive. I'm here on the Gentlemen of Crypto Network as the main thing. I also got my own channel, which is also called Trekkw2ksLive. But as I have said to y'all in 1 or 2 episodes before, YouTube's algos does not like when you do double content. So because I've spent so much time over here on the Gentlemen of Crypto side, the numbers for the videos on the actual channel are horrible compared to what they are over here. Also want to give a shout out to the lurkers and the scammers, because y'all do, for whatever it is, y'all see that we still get the traffic over here to the degree we get it at, and y'all still be coming over here doing what y'all do. So within that recognition, for the other folks out there, all of this like talking that you see in the comments of this crypto project or this wallet or whatever, that's not me endorsing none of that. That's the scammers and questionable lurkers out there, and the what's the other word I'm looking for? The algo, the bots. There we go. Putting those things out there. So be careful, and yeah, do your due diligence. And so, all right, I got a couple of things that got my attention, I think from Sunday. And so I'm sorry, I'm distracted because I'm kind of annoyed with my background right now. It was literally here last week, and it seems like, oh no, never mind. It was the right one. I thought it was the still image and not the one where there's like the stars are twinkling in the background. But anywho, so like the title says, oh, another, not PSA, but I'm gonna give another little hint back in regards to, like, for those who have not heard this before and just happen to come across my channel because you saw a cigar or you was like, oh, somebody's talking trash about Bitcoin, let me jump in on this. The short of how this channel now works is it's a faceless channel for right now anyhow, and basically I go through Twitter and I bookmark things that like scratch my brain / catch my attention. Some of the things are more obvious in relation to crypto. This is a crypto channel in general, but I do not do price talk. And if you've been following the Gentleman of Crypto's network for a while, you know, we got other people on here who are way better at the price talk stuff and talking about, you know, doing the day trades and the meme coins and all that. I'm not that guy, and I make no apologies for it. So if you looking for the T on the where to put your funds next, I'm not that guy, and I am unapologetic for that. But if you want to, you know, tap in on some other things just from somebody's point of view who's been in the space for a fair amount of time, then I might be your guy. Hopefully, if this is your first time listening, I get something to get you to thinking or whatever. But yeah, so let's get into some of these joints tonight. So going through Twitter, seen a couple of things that kind of caught my attention. And this first one here is actually in relation to um all right, so let me roll up some because it was actually another post. So the first post I just showed you is actually based on this post here. Shout outs to my guy, Mind Your Business. Also, I wanted to say shout outs to Mike Salvi the other day, last Monday, but I forgot to say it because I got caught up in something in one of my rambles, and I didn't say shout outs to my guy from Philly, Mike Salvi. He had a post that had me cracking up, and I was like, yo, I got to talk about this. And I talked about the thing, but I didn't say that I got it from Mike Salvi. So I got that joint from Mike Salvi, funny dude from Philly, one of the other old head crypto people that I know in the space. And, you know, good dude. I don't know, I always vibe with the Philly folks, man. The Philly folks are some cool folks. But anywho, so as I was saying, this tag handle Carbon, right? So Mind Your Biz was the one who initially posted this, and then I was going through it and I was looking at it and I was like, wait, so this is one of the things that contributed to tonight's title, right? In that, yes, not crypto, Bitcoin in particular, hence the place is a fucking mess right now, is in this weird space, in my opinion, in my little humble unk status opinion, right? And part of it plays into this. So here you have it that Tornado Cash is quote gone. Samurai is gone. I don't know what happened to Samurai Wallet, but I didn't dig into any of that because I literally just seen this earlier today, I want to say. And then the Monero thing had me fucking flabbergasted about this 51% attack. But that's where the one that I just showed you plays into about the Monero, because the first post is actually talking about how what's going on is one of the mining pools in the space did silent mining, and they're trying to push their longer chain as to be like the main chain. And so Monero's devs are like quote on it, and they're trying to, you know, counter what this particular group is doing. But my bigger point in regards to this post and what it was conveying about where the space is right now is privacy is being attacked on all types of fronts, right? And the response I had to Seth's, which is Mind Your Biz, his post was, this is a war of attrition, but it's a different type of war of attrition for governments, right? And so with that, it isn't them going, all right, we'll be able to knock this out in like one, you know, legislative swoop. It's more of a, it's gonna take quote, you know, some time. What is going on? Why is it not doing it? All right, I gotta deal with that later. But anywho, so like you have it that in my mind, this is an example of how it's in a war of attrition, but it's not an okay, so let me step back one. For the folks who don't understand the concept of a war of attrition, wars of attrition are generally fought out or not deliberated, but they are conflicts that take a very long time to play out in terms of how you basically are wearing down your opponent, right? And you're doing it in regards to you're stressing their resources, you're messing with the communication in terms of like military scale. You're messing with the economy, you're messing with the communication, you're messing with the the regular running of the government and stuff like that. And so my point or take within this was that governments are on a war of attrition in relation to the privacy, self custody, economic sovereignty, financial agency part of crypto and of money and capital in general, or of technology or anything really. But so the focus on the part about this crypto thing is that this war of attrition isn't following the traditional concept of it, and like there's a um and not a lump sum but a winner take all result. How this is more so playing out, and this is where if you've been in this space for a minute, what I'm saying makes total sense. If you've been in this space for a minute, excuse me, in that if you've been here for a minute, you remember what it was like in the beginning when there was more talk about privacy, there was more talk around economic sovereignty, there was more talk and there was more information and there was more guidance around financial agency, right? The stuff that we have going on now is not that's not the focus of Bitcoin anymore. That's not the pairing narrative of Bitcoin in particular. The rest of the crypto space is a whole nother friggin' thing. But Bitcoin in particular, that is no longer part of the pairing narrative of how we talk about Bitcoin. And so with that, what's the tricky or the caveat to how this war of attrition on Bitcoin is working out is the old heads who are in my timeline, we are becoming the minority of folks who hold these old antiquated back in the day ideals and values or points of views about how Bitcoin slash crypto should be utilized by the individual, right? But the new folks coming in who are making up the new mainstream, those folks have a different thought process. They have a different experience. They came in on the back, or not the back end, but like they came in the part of where like Bitcoin in particular is already a preteen into a teenager. And all they know about and how to get crypto or how to get Bitcoin is, oh, well, you have Coinbase, you have Kraken, you have Binance, you have all of these centralized exchanges that say, hey, you got a KYC. If you don't KYC, you can't get crypto. But we didn't say stuff like that back in the day. Technically, it you still have ways to get crypto today. And there was a post that it's a couple more up, but I'm gonna show that one in a minute. And somebody literally asked that question: how do you get no KYC on BTC? But we're gonna get to that in a minute. But my point being is, as far as how this post works, and in regards to my response to it, is like, yeah, I hear you for what you're saying, but like technically speaking, The way that the space works now, the new folks coming in don't have the technical savviness to be able to do the direct smart contract for a Tornado Cash. They don't know how to do some of the manual stuff on an old Samurai wallet. They don't understand the technical part of what's going on with the mining part of Monero, right? So like, in effect, for the new folks, privacy and self-agency in relation to implementing your sovereignty or your self-agency of these financial technologies, it doesn't exist because they don't know none of that part. So if it's not Apple proofed or Appleified, they don't, to them it's just like, well, what are we talking about? Like that don't even mean nothing to me because I don't know how to use none of those things. Those things don't exist for how I understand the space. I know what Coinbase does. I click the button and then my bank account connects and then the money go over and then I see on the screen that I have Bitcoin in my Coinbase wallet. But they don't understand self-custody. They don't understand how to do any of like the old school stuff. And yo, I seen another meme today. If anybody watched that movie, yo, what's the name of that movie? Oh, you know what? Now I gotta go find the post because the shit made me think of Andreas Antonopoulos, and he said this a while ago. Where is it at? Where is it at? Now I'm trying to find. I'm over here looking on the other window trying to find is it gonna open for me? Yeah. As a matter of fact, shit this time. So I'm gonna show y'all this one. I forgot the name of the movie right now, but it it it's in relation to what I'm saying about like for those of us who've been here for a minute, like this makes total sense if you've been here for a minute as far as like, and I forgot what movie this was from, but it was a whole thing of like, oh no, wait, we're Bitcoiners, and it's like, what kind of Bitcoiner are you? And I would argue that's where we moving right now. That's it's a part. It is the unspoken part of the environment that's going on right now. The older heads, and I'm not talking about like the whale folks who be out here just like pumping and dumping on the price and doing shit like Sam Mao and them. Like, I'm not talking about those folks. I'm talking about the more average Joe folk who they've been in this for a minute. They remember what the space was like in 2015. They was running around, places in 2013, 14, like the folks who were, I'm not even going to say like the crypto bro folks in the 16, 17 period. They was on some next shit with like showboating and keeping up with the Joneses. But like the folks who really were hoping, believing, and trying to work towards a more financial an instrument that had more economic sovereignty to it, right? And so the joke in regards to this particular like meme is that like and Antonopoulos said this like a while ago. I want to say it had to be like either before COVID or it might have been like I'm talking like a year or two, like maybe 2 or 3 years before COVID, or it might have been like right around the beginning, definitely way before this movie came out. And he made the point of like how you'll have people get into the thing of arguing out like, well, which level of Bitcoin person are you? It's like how you have the religious folks be like, oh, I'm a Christian. It's like, oh, wait, what denomination? And then they start like breaking down like, well, which version of the Bible, the Old or the New Testament? And then you're just like, yo, like y'all going a little bit too far with this, but you have those maxis like that, right? Arguably, AKA word for that would be a zealot. The point being is the new folks who are coming in, they on a whole different track. They on a whole different looking outlook on the space right now. Like, it's more on the how do I get the bag than it is how do I build, or how do I create, or how do I secure my financial sovereignty, or my financial self-agency, right? Because like with I got another post on here that caught my attention, that if this plays out how it's being described, like it's gonna be a wild next 3 years and like 4 months. It's gonna be wild. Let me try to find the other post. Oh, so this was the other joint that got me also kind of fired up today, in relation to the Bitcoin space being a mess. Like 2013, here's how we was out here talking like to everybody. What Bitcoin? Like 2013, that's us. I would argue we look even more stupid in 2025 than compared to what it's showing right here, right now. I just realized y'all can't even see it. I'm looking at like 3 different monitors, y'all. My bad. My bad. So you're going to see what I'm saying. Right. So seeing this post today, I forgot who posted this one. And this joint had me cracking up. And I was like, yo, like it looks even, I said, imagine how much crazier this looks in 2025 now, especially if you were here from before 2016. Like it looks hella crazy right now. I'm debating about this, but I'm like, does it really matter? Like, do I even have enough of the views for if I use the R word? And for those who don't know, like, again, YouTube, the YouTube algos be on some ish, man. I also seen something today that had me thinking, oh, all right, so that's what's going on. All right, my bad, yo. Bitcoin Shango, what's going on? Only Bitcoin. Yeah. Research. Yeah, I hear you. What happened? You're breaking up. I don't know what's going on. I shouldn't be breaking up. It's probably because I'm talking about the foolery I'm talking about right now. Yeah, handle the business with the fam, my guy. Handle the business with the fam. But sorry, like again, multiple monitors plus trying to read comments plus trying to, but thank you, Marlon. Like if you've been in the space for a minute, like it definitely makes sense for where we were then to how we look now. Like, and the one about Daddy Trump. Yo, okay. There's a post. Hold on. Now I gotta look for this post. Which one are you? It wasn't you. Oh, on a side note, I'm gonna throw this out there just because I'm curious on how this is gonna play out. Probably like in another 3 or probably by like 2030. The whole thing with Thailand allowing tourists to convert crypto into local currency. Because was I there? Where was I? I'm trying to remember where I was. Oh, and this is a while ago, so I don't even, it looked totally different now. Oh no. Oh no. Damn it. All right, listen. I gotta make this run real quick. I'm gonna be right back, y'all. I just realized I did not have my damn laptop connected in, and it is gonna die on me in a minute. I'll be right back, y'all. All right. All right. Thankfully, I knew right where the damn power cord was, because if I had to go look for it, that'd have been the call of the show. So, okay, 100%, man, 100% on the retardedness. The retardedness of the space just is mind blowing to me now. So yeah, but this Thailand situation, I'm curious about on the end of, will they follow the direction of like what Hong Kong does with their crypto space? In terms of, they have exchanges where the exchanges allow you to convert into other currencies. So it's not just you have to convert into what is local to Hong Kong. You can convert into other things. So yeah, I'm curious on how that is going to, wait, why did it not, that was not the one I wanted. How that's gonna work. But yeah. So sorry. I had forgot to plug in the laptop, and the cord was all the way upstairs, so had to do that quick run. But yeah, man, like, we see the adoption happening. Case in point here with Thailand, which, see, so here, okay, so here's this goes to the post. This point goes to the post below it, right? In that it's been a while since I've been in Thailand, but like back then, it was like really small as to what your options were on where you could go to like convert crypto, right? And it was a hell of a drawn out process. And this is like back in like 2017, 18. So the fact that like you could do this now, and I imagine it probably got more easier around like 2020, 2021. But to this point of, if you found someone who was willing to be like, all right, like, here, I got this currency, you have X amount of that crypto, then boom, exchange. Versus how, like, when I was there, they wanted you to give like, yo, we need to see your passport picture, we need some other second ID thing. It was a whole friggin' drawn out process, mad annoying, and like artificial speed bumps, 100% artificial speed bumps. I'm curious to see what this would be like now, where, all right, like, if you have crypto ATMs, like, can I just go to the ATM? I'm curious onto how, what does the market adoption for crypto ATMs look like in Thailand? That would be something I'd be curious to see, because like I know how they were throttling the tourists before, but how are you throttling the tourists now? If that makes sense. But again, it goes to the carbon post below it about the whole privacy stuff. And again, like, if you don't have the network, if you're not out here making these connections, then you know you pretty much are like stuck at you're pretty much stuck at the quote the new mainstream ways of how you move in and out of the space. Like, if you don't take the time to learn how like the technology works, or like how some of the other options or the older stuff that arguably is a little bit more cumbersome, right? Like P2P isn't as smooth as just one click and you're done on like one of the what's the things called, the centralized exchanges, right? Like, but that's the other part of it though. Like, if it was easy to secure how am I saying this? Not a if, more of a part of the and I think I've been saying this for like a bit now. Part of the thing with covering the not centralizing the financial sovereignty thing is you have to be able to protect it at your resource level, right? So if you don't know or have your own means of storing it, traveling with it, spending it in things that work for what you need, like, what are you really doing with it? And arguably, most of the folks who are in the space now in crypto in general, I would argue even the majority of the folks who are in Bitcoin, most of those folks are just waiting on the bag moment. Like, oh, I'm at the top, I'm near the top, bet I'm about to like sell off. And like, what happened? What was it the other day? Like 80 million or like 100 and something million. Somebody sold off that much worth of Bitcoin. It didn't do no motion really to the price. Like, somebody exited with 3-digit millions after the slippage, after the fees, the transaction fees, and nobody blinked the eye. Price didn't do much or nothing. Hey, what's going on, Sonny? And why am I saying that the space is a fucking mess? Is because we're in this transition phase of how the what's the word I'm looking for? The mass adoption and the growing pains of it plays into how do we change or influence the understanding and the narrative of the newer folks coming in to think of it in more alignment of traditional financial instruments versus the hard break that the folks who are in it on the early wave, the 2013 folks, the 2012 folks, the 2015 folks, they were coming right off of the 08, 07 situation, right? That recession. So that was a lot more fresh in living memory versus these new folks who's coming in. Like, yo, I was listening to Eli, the computer guy today. He made the point on how millennials are now 40 in, what was that, 2005? They were high school, I believe. Like, so here it is, millennials are now 40. They know X amount about technology. the crypto thing is the new lick to like kind of get a come up. It's a different type of financial instrument that's more relatable to their um 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 generation because it's digital versus talking about stocks and bonds and CDs and like the TradFi stuff from back in the day. That's like your parents or like quote my parents who would in today's time be considered a boomer, right? Um and so with that, their understanding of the financial landscape is not the same as those older than them, like those older than me and up. But at the same time, they're coming into this space where there is this new medium of exchange that works on a technology stack that like for the most part they not too caring or worried about it. It's like, yo, does the price go up? Cool, that means I made something and I could then, if I'm thinking savvy enough, I can convert it into some other more stable real world assets. That's some people, right? But the part that really killed me was finding out today that math wise, millennials are 40 now. That blew my mind. Millennials are 40. Also seen this joint today by Swan. Basically, Bitcoin has survived everything thrown at it so far, but what hasn't it faced yet? Let's talk about real threats still looming over Bitcoin and why most don't seem this clearly. Why most don't seem this clearly. I don't know. I'm not gonna play the video, but I'm gonna read some of the examples of what they give as to like, yeah, there's still issue here. And again, I definitely think there is still issue because there's another post that caught my attention with Mark Moss, and he pointed some stuff out that if it's I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna go through a couple of the threads on this, and then we're gonna jump into that one. The Mark Moss one definitely kind of has me like, damn, like we are getting shafted, and it's a no lube shafting. It's one of those like like, oh man, look over there, and then you turn your head and you look, and next thing you know, you just like face down. And when I get into that particular post, you'll see why I'm saying it that way. Hopefully. Future administration could swing back hard, weaponizing choke points like bank access and custody rules. It literally only takes, and granted, if we have if we've noted anything for how last administration worked, but more so how this administration worked, the those of us in my era, right, of civil studies, who remembers that subject, there's supposed to be a balance that takes place between the three elements of government, right? And the way this joint is working out right now, this administration is not following any of the balance rules. Trump has his idea on how he wants to approach something. He makes this grandstand thing of it. Congress doesn't do any checking. The judicial element is like, well, we got to wait for the public to bring it to our doorstep before we jump in on anything. But Congress ain't doing their job in terms of checking the president and the balance of power and influence over the American public, and these things that, at least for how I'm paying attention to it, and for the folks that are on my radar, like these choices, these implementations, these public spectacles that our administration is displaying on a global scale will have decades of rippling effect out. But again, that just might be on the people that I'm paying attention to. I don't know who y'all are paying attention to. Remember, I'm just some guy on the internet, and I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a financial advisor. Just some guy on the internet who happens to have been around in this space for a bit, and that's it. Like, I do my little due diligence for things that I find relevant to me and my situation, but it doesn't mean that it is relevant to you or to your particular situation. So hopefully y'all do your due diligence. But nonetheless, all it takes is, hey, I'm gonna say, like, did y'all see that your boy just loan sharked Nvidia and was like, hey, you guys have to give the government like some stake in the company? Now, there's definitely devil in the details on how it's like, well, you'll get to do some kind of loan thing, and then the money will be like brought back this way to the government side of it, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's a loan shark move. If you want to sell your product in another country, you have to cough up money to the government. And the way it seems right now is like Nvidia did it, but then China is like, well, we're not going to make the orders, so fuck it. And we're soft telling the industries, don't buy the GPUs. We're not hard telling them, but there's definitely a, hey, you can put the orders in if you want to. I don't know if you're going to make your product, and then I don't know if your business is going to make it through next year's like round of regulations or inspections and stuff. But yet on this side of the ocean, Nvidia is getting loan sharked for money to sell a product overseas that they potentially cannot sell. How does that make any sense? Like, the level of like what kills it, well, not kills it, but like what blows, I think, most people's mind right now is that the things that we took as staples, and like, this is best common practice, this is the standard practice, this is what everyone understands as the way it's done. This has been done for generations. Now, granted, there's certain things that I don't agree with in regards to like how it's been done for a while. But in terms of like certain business practice and understandings, he's flipping those things on their head. And the same thing can play out in this crypto space. So if we had it where he turned around and was like, all right, so you can't have personal wallets anymore. No self-custody wallets. Everything has to be through an exchange, which I think that might be a potential direction. I don't know if it'd be this administration, but at some point it's going to be a thing as far as like whatever type of financial asset you have. How do I say this? I think that there are certain practices, not practices, because of how, or the digital, because of the digital nature of crypto and the direction that financial institutions and governments want to go with traditional financial instruments, I think that there will be a time where a stock, a bond, a CD, a ETF, those things will have some of the same similar transposability, self-custody properties like how crypto works now, right? And so when we get to that point, I think that at that point, it's just going to be a whole different level of how much into your business the government slash the company can get, because at that point, like who was it that I was talking about the other day? Social Security. Social Security down the road is like, hey, if you want to collect Social Security, you have to give us access to your bank account, and like continuous access to your bank account. So we're always going to be doing checks on how much money came in and how much money went out. So when we give you what we give you, even though you paid into that system, we can increase the amount or we can lower the amount or we can just stop the payment, which is the things that you could do with certain cryptocurrencies now. You can freeze a transaction, you can reverse a transaction, and you can stop a transaction. Like, we don't like to acknowledge that stablecoins have those features to them. We don't like to acknowledge that Solana has those features to them. We don't like to acknowledge that the newer Ethereum has some of those functions to it. We keep making it sound like it's just one of those. There's no technical overreach to it. And when I say technical overreach, I mean in terms of just what I described. Like, you can freeze a transaction, you can reverse a transaction, you can stop a transaction. In Bitcoin, we can't, like, there's, for how the current blockchain code works, you can't do that. But a vast majority of the other crypto out there have some, or if not one or most of the things that I just mentioned for the technical overreach. But no one likes to talk about that part of it because no one really cares about the financial sovereignty part or the self-agency part. At least that's my take on it. That is my take on it in relation to this new era that we're in for the folks that are, class of C19, class of I just got here in 2022, class of I came in on the top of the wave at 20. No, that's not even the top of the wave because that's when the dump happened. But like 20, let's say 2020, because 2018 was a rough. It was a high year, but it was also a very low year. And so with that, the point being is this thread touches on a couple of different things on how, like, Bitcoin can still get messed with. If you don't know nothing about miners and you don't know nothing about nodes and you don't know nothing about signatures and like hard wallets, cold wallets, you're just going to be more lost in the sauce. And all you'll end up doing is just accepting what, or at least most people would just accept what is promoted to them as the, like, here's how you get into this, here's how you do this. Where's the other one that got me? The mining, another example of like where the centralization thing really kicked in terms of now we have mining pools. And if you want to try to grab a whole Bitcoin by yourself, you spending bread. Okay? That is not a cheap endeavor. And then everyone talks about, we've been talking about quantum computing for like years now at this point, right? Quantum computing, like, again, if quantum computing becomes a thing where it's like proven 100% works, there are so many other things to have to worry about in the world besides like crypto or like money in general. If like quantum computing gets to where, like, okay, it's good, it's ready to go, like this is ready for off the shelf use, there's so many other things to worry about besides crypto and money in general. Like, there's going to be a lot of other issues in society or in the world and how it functions to worry about. Hence the whole thing of like start working on that bartering network. Then he gets into the Black Swan events and and stuff like that. But if you want to check this out, you know, this is Swan, which come on. Yeah, just at Swan, and you can see that post there. This was this one. Oh, so this one also got me. Satoshi Badger was asking the question of how do you do Bitcoin without KYC? What got me was 2 points that I noted was continually through this thread. And the thread is actually kind of lengthy as far as like there was a number of people who actually responded to this person. And what kind of got me was they talked about trust. And then when it came to the ATMs, it was like, yeah, but the ATMs have a premium price to them. And it's like, well, duh. Of course he was gonna have a premium price to them. Like we literally talked about this back before like 2017. If KYC got pushed into crypto, and I don't even think we understood back then per se at the level of how much KYC would get pushed into the crypto space because of the centralized exchanges and just like how governments were moving about the whole transportation laws and all that. But like, of course, there was going to be a premium on being able to get Bitcoin without KYCing because it's not going through the other hoops and stuff. Like, how do I explain this? Because arguably, most of this, I don't even know. I don't know if half or maybe like 2/3 of what's out there now is all KYC stuff. But there's definitely a sizable amount of Bitcoin that is not KYC'd. And I'm talking aside from like the miners. I'm talking about the folks who probably been sitting with like 1, 2, 10 wallets with, you know, a couple hundred or a couple thousand joints sitting on hard drives or wallets. And imagine how many hard drives and wallets from back in the day that's KYC free right there. Nonetheless, this person was bringing up like, well, trust was the issue because somebody said, what did they say? Oh, go to I think they said like go to a Bitcoin miner, and the person was like, oh, but that involves trust, and it was like, but you realize that like at this point, you have to understand that as far as like the crypto thing is concerned in general and Bitcoin at the forefront, yes, the original selling point or narrative was about being quote trustless, but like technically it's trust reduced. Like in all aspects of finance, as far as how I understand it, is that there's a level of trust that is built for the issuer as well as the person receiving. So you trust that this financial instrument will be able to have a sustainable purchasing power to it, or it will work in an environment that helps you get the resource or service that you need, right? In the case of Bitcoin, my response in regards to one of the times when this person says this is like, but like you trust the core devs for the Bitcoin blockchain. Like, stop it. Like, you already implemented a level of trust because you already trust to a degree the core Bitcoin devs. And if anybody's been paying attention, there's been at least like what 3 or 4 of the devs that have left the project, I think over like the last 6 or 8 years. And again, if you're not a techie person, like what does that mean to you? It means 2 licks. Like it doesn't matter to you. Does the price of Bitcoin do what it does? I imagine like how many new people in even know who Bitcoin Jesus is? I imagine most folks don't. I imagine most of the new folks who come into the space have no idea who Roger Ver is. If even who what's his name from Australia? Like again, like I was looking at this space and it's just like this shit is a mess right now, man. Like you got the Bitcoin folks down in the Beltway who are really pushing for, what the hell is the name of these people right now? What? Oh, sorry, my mouse was messing up. But the folks in the Beltway, by the way, if you don't know what the Beltway mean, the Beltway means 495, which wraps around Washington D.C. Right? So you got the folks in the Beltway who are like, yeah, we're pro, Bitcoin and we're pro crypto and we're pro crypto. And then when you're like, all right, so let's talk about this privacy thing, it's like, whoa. Hold on. We can't talk about financial privacy and crypto or Bitcoin in the same meeting or in the same sentence now. Why? Because it's not fashionable. It's not a part of the conversation anymore, which is so friggin' mind blowing. And as I said it the other day, like I really wonder if it would have been better if I would have came in to the crypto space like after like 2018, because I would have missed the crash for 2018, the crypto winter. I would have missed that, and I'd have came in on like the crypto spring. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't have known about any of the stuff from back in the day and the things that you could do with crypto wallets, and understood like any of the difference of what it was like when there was only like 2 or 3 centralized exchanges, but a bunch of DeFi sites, right? Or like, knowing about like Mount Gox, right? Like it, to be around in that time, experience all of that stuff, and then come to where we are now, and then you look at it and you're just like, so at one point we had way more quote freedoms, and then now you're telling us like, well, no, that didn't exist, or like, no, you can't do that. And it's like, what do you mean you can't do that? I literally was here when it was being done. That's the part that blows my mind in this whole thing, is when you listen to these new folks come in, and especially the legislator type folks, they will have all of this conversation around certain aspects of the financialization of Bitcoin, but they will leave out the security part of it, and they will leave out the privacy and the self-agency part, like it was never a part of like it was never a part of the white paper. Like it was never um um a part of the motivation to make such a technology, or being able to introduce the concept of like, if we could just like find a better way to fix the money situation, or fix uh um the medium, the technology that allows for this medium of currency, maybe we might be able to do something a little bit better and different. But that's not where folks are now. And so let me jump into this next joint. Where are you? If anybody's interested though, check out Satoshi Badger's page. Again, educational purposes, not a financial advisor. If you are curious in understanding what does it look like in the world of crypto now to try to get KYC free Bitcoin. So there's this other post here that was by Giovanni Incasa. This is going, listen. So okay. And this one literally caught my mind, not my mind, but it caught my attention. Bitcoin, all right. Hold on. Huh. All right. So this is Mark Moss here, right? Definitely has way more people that follow his channel and stuff than me, right? Um, so he, I want to say like maybe the last 5 years or maybe 8 years. I'm not 100% certain. He's been on his thing about like, breaking down some of the stuff going on in the financial world, and then like he got into the crypto thing. I want to say it was like pre-COVID. But now, pardon me, he's gotten into this thing about Trump and how his folks are moving through this crypto space. And I definitely had to bookmark this one when I seen it. So basically, Giovanni is like captioning, summarizing part of what Mark has been saying about how he sees or how he understands what the administration is doing in terms of Trump's turn or switch for Bitcoin. And so Mark's take is the short of it is for how the GDP works, if you can get your GDP to get higher than the national debt, it is a way of basically getting out of defaulting the debt. But the question is, well, isn't the GDP based on like how much you're producing and like what's going on in that regards? The answer is yes. But like the loophole or the trick or the smoke and mirrors is the government gave the banks X amount of like M3 or something funds. But they were like, yo, you can't put it into the market. So this new change that just happened where the stable coins, now banks have the ability to make stable coins. So the idea is you change the regulation around stable coins. The banks already have, quote, the money to be able to back the stable coins that they create. But it's going to happen in such a way that the price of Bitcoin is going to move. Let's say the shit might just look like a hockey puck. This is not financial advice. If you read this thread for how this is being explained, it like when I tell you this is financialization at its finest. So basically, the government gave the banks money, but they were like, yo, you can't put it into circulation. And the banks was like, well, damn, what the hell are we supposed to do with this? Because we're not getting no return back on it. We just got this money sitting here. So now the government comes back and is like, all right, don't worry about it. We got you. Y'all are going to be able to make stable coins. Well, what are we going to do with the stable coins? You already got the money. So what you're going to do is you make the stable coin and you have the stable coin work as the backing to the money that we gave you as the backing to the stable coin, and then you issue out the stable coins. Now, I remember I said this a couple episodes ago. Banks are not required to hold a reserve for what they quote have in their on their ledger. So like, what is that? It was either in 2022 that happened, where they didn't have to have a reserve, so they could go down to zero. Before that, it was like I think 10% or 50% or something like that. So when I tell you the rehypothecation game is going to look gnarly, gnarly is an understatement for the 3-card Monte game that is being played on the public is wild right now. Like, so the banks are going to get to issue the stable coins. That's going to get pushed out to the public. The public is going to do what they do to buy in. I imagine then at some point down the road, banks are going to start implementing not keeping a 1-to-1 ratio. And they'll probably, and this isn't stated in this thread, this is me going off of, well, if in 2022, y'all already said traditional banks do not have to can hold up to 0% reserve, it only makes sense that down the road, if you give them another instrument that is supposed to be pegged to something, eventually they're going to run it down to 0. So now Bitcoin, and apparently in a couple of threads in, he gets into how the Trump connected folks are going through different back channels and stuff and making large purchases of Bitcoin. Because the idea then is the inflation is going to happen, but you don't want the inflation to skyrocket at a level where arguably they can't control it the same way, which the stablecoin thing will be interesting to see how they influence the stablecoins, because current financial practice is the economics is like the economy is supposed to be at equilibrium. That's the current policy. That's the current idea of how what's going on, BK Crypto, of how the US government looks at the economy. It's supposed to always be in a constant state of equilibrium. And there are safeguards that they do to influence and keep, quote, that balance. Even though in basic and like universal economics, there's supposed to be cycles. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. There's supposed to be cycles, but that's not how we want to do this stuff. So now here you have it that the Bitcoin is supposed to be used as the absorption for the inflation that's going to take place. Pardon. Why or how? Because the banks already have the funds. They're going to issue the stable coins to the public. The public's then going to go, oh, all right, boom. There's going to be different market campaigns to get people to jump in on the stable coins issued by JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, blah, 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 other financial institutions. And it's going to be a sick flip money grab in that they're issuing it and they're telling you like, oh, well, we have a 1-to-1 reserve now. And again, in my mind, down the road, they're going to slowly but surely lessen the reserve ratio, which then means you're over here taking your capital on your side that you're earning in order to get this financial instrument from this trusted vendor, aka JP Morgan, that knows that for them, that digital financial instrument, aka the stable coin, really doesn't have any value for them, because they already got the cash from the government. They already got that capital sitting there, and then you're giving them extra on top of it. Then they're also going to be holding the Bitcoin, because I imagine that that's going to get pushed around between different higher end banking institutions. So now, as far as their balance sheets look like, the Bitcoin is absorbing the inflation in what do they call it? It's not I don't know which one of the M's it is. I don't know if it's an M1 or M2 or M3, but because the banks are issuing out the stable coins, and basing the stable coins on what they have, quote, in reserve, it's going to influence the price of crypto, of Bitcoin in particular, so that it doesn't go like directly into the market. And when I say directly into the market, I mean in like the CPI part of the market, like how much is eggs, how much is gas, how much is like grocery shopping, shit like that. And before this administration is out, you're going to hear the stories of how Bitcoin like did some crazy move, and they're gonna make it sound like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. The stable coins that like Wells Fargo and them are gonna put out, JP Morgan, what's the other name of that damn financial institution I can't think of right now? It's gonna sound like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you know what's gonna be really crappy? And if anybody's paying attention to pensions were arguing about being insolvent before COVID, before 2020. And I know this because this was some of the stuff I was paying attention to before 2020. Pensions like New York City, New York State, Capitolers, California, they were arguing about being insolvent back then. The basic idea of, hey, in another 50 to 75 years, we're going to be insolvent. We need to reduce how much payout we give to our people. They was arguing this more than 5 years ago. Why do I make this particular subject up? Because the stable coins and things like the S&P 500 are going to be pushed and are being pushed to the pension funds. So like if you a millennial, if you a Gen Z, this is going to ripple out on your latter years of like being past 60 or 55. We'll give it like, you won't like, if you're in my range and I'm 45, we'll see the cracks, because the boomers, they already taken the bag from the Social Security part. I might get some crumbs off of Social Security, right? Because I've been working long enough. But like the millennials and the Gen Z and the ones after, it's going to be a different system that they're going to get them to pay into. Case in point, is anybody paying attention to the proposed changes to the 401k plans? And then the proposed changes to the tax rates for the different tax brackets, like the between like 30 plus K and like under, I think 220K. It's like 3 different changes for those different tiers. And this isn't financial advice. It's just me saying like, look, bro, nah, like, listen, it's not me out here trying to say I'm a smart person. It's more so of a, I pay attention to things, and the things I've been paying attention to for a while, bro. Like, I remember trying to talk to people about One Belt, One Road, or what SIPS was, which is the Chinese version of the SWIFT system, before 2019. Nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. SIPS came online in like 2017 or 2014 or something like that. Like the ASEAN Accords, like no one knows what the hell that shit is over here now. And I can't even be like, oh, I know this, I know that, because I'm not balling in life. I'm not a crypto bro. I'm a simple dude at this point, working a simple enough W2 thing, and I'm trying to figure out how many of these baskets do I need to put my stuff in, that when I'm like, all right, I want to do this retirement thing, it works out. Because right now I am questioning everything that like I knew from my parents' generation as, oh yeah, just put it in your 401k and then like it'll do this. Or like, oh yeah, just put your money in the bank and if you have the saving account, you just make sure you do blah blah blah. And it's just like, yeah, that made sense for y'all generation. That made sense for your era. Where we at now, like this administration is, in my opinion, the pivot turning point for a lot of how we gonna look at retirement, stocks, savings, any of the financial stuff on how it. And I'm not even talking from a standpoint of like economic sovereignty or like financial agency. I'm not even talking about it from those two aspects. As just a regular person trying to figure out, I'm going to work a job for X number of decades, or I'm going to work at different types of jobs that would contribute into this thing of a savings or some kind of retirement plan. Like this period right now, in my opinion, is where the shift is happening. And most folks don't get it because we too busy trying to deal with the day-to-day shit. And then we so busy getting frustrated by all of the fear porn that we get through the news. Like I'm dealing with life because life is lifing. Life is not stopping. Like over the last couple of months, and for the folks who've been listening for a bit, y'all been hearing me talk about, hey, like check on your peoples. I'm wishing y'all to be in a safe place and in a safe space and in good company. I've been saying that for more than 2 years now. But in the last couple of months in particular, like it's a lot of stuff going on. And I'll be honest, like I figured with Trump in, it was gonna be some chaos. But I honestly didn't think it would be this chaotic. And then it's moving in a way where like it's so much smoke and mirrors to it, you can't make a proper assessment. Like that's the funky part about this whole situation. You can't make a proper assessment to figure out like, well, how do I move forward in this? Because everything that we were again taught or through formal education, through watching our parents, friends, and families, as well as just the like what we kind of picked up and figured out. Like you read, Robert Kiyosaki's book, you look at like Mark Mossman's stuff, you look at Ray Dalio and all of the shit that he be saying, and then people talk like, oh, you gotta follow the smart money, look at the old heads and see what they doing. It's like, yeah, but those folks are in whole different echelons, bro. They're in whole different levels of conversations. They got lawyers that are paid more than $500 an hour. They have a whole different tier of access to resources and network that it doesn't even fathom for the average person. So in my mind, I'm just like, all right, well, I can't make plans or try to come up with partial or full solutions using those as my examples because I'm not at that level. I'm not in those conversations. I'm not in that network. That's just my thought process. But nonetheless, this is like, and most people might not see it. Like, oh yeah, Trump is pro crypto. Trump is blah 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 Bitcoin. And I said it when he first started talking, in pros of Bitcoin. It's like, all right, like I hear it, but this doesn't sound like it's his plan. And then two, the things that he's talking about literally go opposite of the core part of like the two core tenets of this whole Bitcoin thing. self-agency of your money and privacy. Like, if that goes out the window, then what are we talking about in relation to Bitcoin? The other stuff is a whole different topic and animal, and you know, other conversations around that. But again, I'm still I'm smoking on that pack, and I'm sticking with, like, the Bitcoin space is a mess right now because the folks who have the ideals that are similar to mine, we're the minority, and the folks who are more moved in the space now, they don't have the same ideals, values of the early day stuff. And like, arguably, it's okay. Like, it's not to be expected per se that you would have those same intentions or values, because your experiences are different. You came in at a different point. The selling point now is like, oh, this is how you're gonna make the lick. This is how you're gonna save some money. This is how you're gonna build generational wealth. This is one of the vehicles to generational wealth. Get into the crypto thing. In my mind, a lot of folks are gonna get fleeced. A lot of folks are gonna get fleeced, and you know, a lot of folks aren't gonna have the patience or the fortitude to deal with how the rest of this administration timeline works out. Like, we're only just getting to month 7, folks. Technically month 8, but like, it's still another 3 years and like 4 months. And heaven knows what will be said between now and next January. And we still haven't really seen how the uncertainty of the tariff status and implementations have actually played out, because we keep getting these taco moments from Trump, right? So like, next year when the numbers are in, like, it's going to probably be really, really crazy, but they're probably not going to want to address it. Why? Because people already know it's messed up. And for some, that's a funny thing about people. Like, they do the studies on how, like, if you give people too many options, they become indecisive. If you continually give people negative news, they then tend to be more negative about things. And I said this before. One of the other dudes that I pay attention to is the uneducated economist, and he always makes the point about how the treasury works. With It's not about if they actually increase or lower the interest rate. It's about how they use the verbiage and language to manipulate the market into pricing things in or expecting a certain thing, and then like, oh well, it didn't happen, so we don't know. All right, well, it didn't go too bad. We're experiencing the same thing in this crypto space. Again, it's a war of attrition on getting rid of the folks who are pro privacy. It's a war of attrition on getting not okay. Let me not say it. It's not about getting rid of those folks. It's not about getting rid of the people who think about financial agency. It's about having them outnumbered by the folks who will follow traditional financial concepts. Let me put my money in the bank. Let me trust the authority who says that I can only spend it this way or I can only store it this way, versus that self-agency. That's where we're at. It's a different type of war of attrition on the crypto space as this new financial instrument. It's definitely being brought back into the fold to align up with how the financing world works, how traditional, well, I'm not even going to say traditional economics, but the financing side for sure. And especially because it's digital. Like, the shit is a mess. And it amazes me how folks are arguing, like, yeah, we need to do it. We need to put more KYC. Yeah, we need to do more things to like be able to be in people's business. Like, in the last 5 years, the IRS won a court case that says they can look in through up and down in your bank accounts if you did transactions with someone that they're investigating and not tell you nothing about it. And the bank don't got to tell you nothing neither. Social Security just said earlier this month, hey, we want to continually do financial audits on any bank account you're connected to, locally and internationally, if you are collecting Social Security. The FBI, a couple summers ago, ran into a bank out in California into safety deposit boxes. They raided the whole room of safety deposit boxes, and they still got those people in court to this day fighting for their stuff. In my mind, I think that it was a play on someone specifically, and they wanted to get the assets. And it's like, you're going to have to come to us if you want this shit back. But that person didn't come to them because it was like, I'm not going to put myself out in public for that. But imagine that. Your safety deposit box can be raided without a warrant specific to it. That's what the FBI set as precedent. What is that? 3-4 years ago? Now? The IRS thing was like 3 years ago. The Social Security thing was just like last month that came out publicly. Like, and let us not forget the Dodd-Frank Act under, what was that, Obama? That allows banks to be like, nah, we're not giving you your money. It's like Section 8 or Section 5 or something like that. That allows banks to not give you your money. If you walk into a bank and they're like, oh, we don't like how you walked in here. Oh, we think you look suspicious. Nah, dog, you're not getting your money today. You might not never get your money. Banks can literally tell you, Bank of America has been going through this for a little bit now. Banks can literally tell you, well, we don't care that you have a receipt that you deposited the money. Receipts don't mean nothing. Like, imagine that. Every place you go to will tell you, yo, make sure you come back here with the receipt from the original purchase. A bank is telling you, wait, you deposited money here? You sure about that? Yeah, I got the receipt right here. We don't know. That don't really look like one of our receipts. But there's the number on it. There's my account. A dude was doing work on his house, and I think he lost like $20,000 or $30,000. Money that he had in Bank of America. And they was like, nah, we don't got your money. We don't know what you're talking about. It took him like 6 months or something to go through a whole bunch of back and forth with them to be like, oh, yeah, we had your money. My bad. But 6 months of them fighting him saying that they ain't have his money. How wild is that? That's the world that's the country we live in right now. I mean, this is before Trump and all that, but like that's where we at right now. And not even getting into anything about the violent side of things or inflation, just talking about how some of this legal system is working right now. Like, that's another funny situation. If you got a spouse that's like not native, or like, even if they have their paperwork, they could potentially end up in ice. There's a video circulating around on YouTube where dude and was I'm not even gonna say crazy, but it's one of those like you look at it and it's just like, yo, there's at least like 6, 8 adults, and you're telling me that none of y'all had basic reasoning skills to be like, let me open this bottle marked opium and smell it to see if it is actually opium. No. Instead, they sent your boy to jail, and the way they picked him up was friggin' like I don't know if y'all haven't seen how the YouTube algos are going. Other thing of note, and I'm gonna test this out. I'm throwing this one out there to other folks on the algos, depending on what social media platform you are on. I'm kind of curious for how this works. I think I have an idea of how this works, but I heard it said today or yesterday that if you are of lighter persuasion versus darker persuasion, depending on the platform, you will get different versions of clips or feeds. So like there, like if y'all haven't noticed now, and I know I'm going off on a whole different left tangent thing, but like this is where we are. Like the algos are so impacting how we perceive the world. It's scary. Like from a technical side, it's cool as far as understanding technology or like having certain levels of question about it. But from the other side of just like the level of social engineering that is an example of is scary. If the social media platform can identify what your let's say ethnic group is, I'm not using the word race just on the end of the whole social construct thing, but if it can identify you in that regards, it then gives you certain variations of your FYIs. What is that? For you? What is it? Twits? Anyway, you get that kind of feed. So like that's where we are. But no one actually talks about that part. We talk about the algos, but we don't talk about the algos in regards to like that level of sophistication. And I can see how that would play out in like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Because you got to remember, if the algos can search for nudity in images, how does it not make sense then that the algos can figure out if the owner or the operator of that account, assuming if they post their own images, what's the makeup of the owner of the account? You see where I'm going with that? But anywho, I rambled on for way too damn long. Again, the Bitcoin space is totally fucked up. And yeah, if you don't know how to get no KYC crypto, arguably you haven't been doing your due diligence and research. Not financial advice, but if you're in an American jurisdiction, make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's when it comes to these taxes. Because, like I said, IRS can now investigate your financial records, even if they're not directly investigating you. Take that as you will. It's a Monday. I hope y'all had a good weekend. I hope you got to like rejuvenate your batteries if the week before was like really stressing or there's a lot of shit going on. Like I said, like I know life is lifing for some of my folks, and you know I'm on this thing now of making a more concerted effort to catch up with folks and you know see how they doing. Like today, I got to see one of my battles. Got to see the new little one, 3-month-old, little cutie, meet the hubby finally. And, just be like, wow, like I'm proud to have witnessed this person's growth and maturing. And then just knowing that, for all the ups and downs, like they push through, they still here. Not everybody got that story. Some people are having a hell of a time out there. And I'm not even talking on the economics. Family dynamics is all screwy. Interpersonal relationships is screwy. It's rough out there. But, as I say, for one human to the next, the best thing that I can wish is for you to be in a safe place, in a safe space, and in good company. Last note, and I totally forgot this. Next month is the Black Blockchain Summit. I'm gonna be out there. It is what is that? September. Now I gotta look. Sorry. Before I get out of here, it is September. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my calendar. The 26th and the 27th of September, I'll be out at HU, aka Howard University in DC. If you are in the area, come through, say what up. Other thing to note, hit me on Twitter. I'll probably end up catching it more on Twitter than I would on anything else. And if you're interested in any of the stuff that I would be like going through on here, like definitely check out the bookmark stuff if you're interested. For any of the things that I cover on here, not saying everything's gonna make sense initially, but these are how things scratch my brain. But other than that, I hope y'all have a good night, and hopefully this week is a great week for you. Sending out positive vibes to those folks out there. Oh yeah, and then shout outs to the content cousins, man. Simonson family, Black Rule, big homie King. I know he on his movie star grind. And then the Jump Out Girls. Yeah. Oh, shout out to my boy L. I seen him the other day, man. Everybody out here just dealing with life, yo. We all just dealing with life. But anywho, I'm rambling on too much. Y'all have a good night. And catch it up next Monday. We'll see what else cooks it up. Hopefully, I'm not on that smoking pack about the space being messed up again. Like, we'll go from there. That's what I got, y'all. That's what I got. Yeah, I'm gonna try to be more peaceful, I think, next week. Hopefully, we'll see. It really depends on like what am I seeing in this space, because I just can't sometimes. But anywho, all right, y'all. One. I'm Trek with 2 Ks.